Well, thank you. I hope everybody's had a good lunch. And then my problem is hopefully I'm not boring so that you fall asleep. So I'm gonna make this as engaging as possible, and hopefully I can see a lot of smiles, because then I know that I'm doing the right thing. So my name is Shawn Kohltfarber, and what I'm going to talk to you about is an introduction to Bambu Labs 3D printers, and really how the 3D printing market has changed for everyday consumers. So I know we probably have some hobbyists in here. You know, we're in the right place. Hey, Emma. Oh, wow. These are my folks from work at Flywheel Digital, and I'm so happy you are here. Okay. So as far as an agenda, somebody was saying that if you can tell people where you're going, at least you know at what point I'm going to get done. So I just want to do the same thing. I'm going to talk about a bio, and we've got my friends here. Kind of a history to give you an idea of like how I've got into 3D printing and where things have been difficult for me. I'm going to do a couple of demos. We're going to see Benchy being created. We're also going to see how to use cloud printing, and then give you a comparison. We'll also show you some really cool things that Bambu Lab has to offer. So like the one thing that is a really hateful problem in 3D printing is when the filament spool just, you don't have any more. Well, they've solved that problem, so I just want to kind of show you how that all works. Also, I'm going to talk about some failed products, just one, and how if there was this back then, maybe we would have had a different outcome altogether. I'm not sure if we'll get to, I found a YouTube video on this guy spending $100,000 for a 3D printer farm, and then we'll just wrap up and we can have questions after that. So as far as my bio, I work at Flywheel Digital. As you can see, I got my friends here. We're on a pod where we were the former White Spider team working on the SKU Ninja platform. And it's specific to Walmart. With Flywheel Digital, one of the things that we're trying to solve is like the big picture, trying to help retailers solve the problem of getting noticed on a lot of the different platforms. One of the things that I also do is I'm a continual learner, and I'm currently taking a course which is the NWA CRA, which is the Certified Retail Analyst. I really wanted to understand Walmart Luminate, and so I'm in that. On the other side of it all, I have many hobbies, and this is one of them, and I hope you guys enjoy what I have to share. One of the biggest things that I was proud of while at my time at White Spider, now Flywheel Digital, is Pokemon Go, one of my hobbies. You can find our office, it's right across from the amp, and if you're playing Pokemon Go, you can see our office is a Pokestop, and I got to help make that happen. And why that's important to me is significance. You know, like you work for a company, and when you can I know Pokemon Go, it's a small community, but when you can put your name on a map for doing something, it makes you happy every time you go. So every time I go to the office, I just smile, because that right there is why I go to work every day. Another reason of why I go to work every day is my wife and we host foreign exchange students, and these kids are really important to us. You know, I've got Hema from India, and I've got Ariella from Indonesia. That's part of the reason why we got into continuing doing 3D printing. I'm from Hawaii, so you can see a picture there from Hawaii, and Hema from India, so I got a picture from India. And then this is like some history from Indonesia. And so in 2018, there was a kid that was telling me about how he got into 3D printing and how he had an Ender 3 Pro, and he was telling me how great it is. And I'm like, well, I can do better than that kid. So I'm gonna get a 5. I'm gonna go expensive. This is like $500. Well, the thing that I found out, 3D printing, you were more of a mechanic on those Enders than anything else. Well, then I tried to do it again with the specific goal of trying to get things to print, because the other one, I was doing a lot of modifications. You watch a YouTube video and they're telling you, hey, you need to do this. So I would buy that thing and I'd put it on there, and then it didn't print. And I was like, oh, well, this printer is going to be a lot different because I'm just going to print. Well, bed adhesion, it's a real thing. It slides right off and you get this nest of things on it. And I'm like, no, why is this happening to me? Well, last year we had a kid from Spain, and she was like, hey, how do I get to go to college? And I had this grand vision, let's get into 3D printing and let's build things that I can sell to other people. Well, I had specific goals. And so I thought, I don't want to be a mechanic. I just want to set it and forget it and make sure, I hope that my house doesn't burn down. And I also want to print, because printing was the goal that I wanted to do. And you know what? I read all these little articles and I found this one. This is the Bambu Lab X1 Carbon. And what it allowed me to do is just print. And it was simple, it was easy. The other thing I didn't have to worry about is I didn't have to take a card from over my computer and take it and put it over into the printer. It just worked. It was seamless. And I was like, wow, this just blows my mind. How is that possible? Well, I saw this quote and I thought it was great. The next generation has always been and will be better than the previous one. If it is not, then the world would not move forward. Leadership requires the courage to make decisions that will benefit for that next generation. And you know what I did? Buying that printer, it did. Because this year, I got to print a lot of things for my kids. And they got to share those things with their friends. And it's crazy because you can just set it before you go to sleep, and it comes out of an oven. Like, you're like, whoa. And so I have something that you guys can see how do you do a comparison? Well, of course, you print benchies. And just so that everyone can be level set, I found the greatest place in the world on Reddit, how long it took benchies to be created. And so a year ago, this guy could print one in 2 hours. 6 years ago, this guy made some modifications, and it took him an hour and 15 or 17 minutes. But it was slow, so I'm going to now take that guy over there and print one in 20 minutes. So there's test files on here. This guy also saves any of the things that we printed out. These are examples of what we printed out. I don't want to print that. Here is the thing. I know you can't see it. You're just going to have to. I know that you can't see this. You're just going to have to trust me. It's going to print here. And I hate doing live demos like this. I have tested it a lot. So talking about that whole setting and forgetting, let me make sure it's doing its thing. So if you can't hear it, it's like revving up the engines and it's starting to warm up. Also, I'm trying to print with this color right here, and it's gonna probably take a few minutes. really I want to just get it started, and then we can continue on. And let me also show you some of the cool things that we have here. This guy is where I have two printers. I've got one at home. I think that's the one at home. Let me make sure. No, this is the one here. I can actually look at it. Yeah, see, look at that. Please be working. Yeah. So it's thinking about things. I wish I could show you what I'm seeing here. It's saying, what?
It's only at 34 on the bed. That's why it's only.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. You can see it on the.
Okay. It wasn't doing things. Thank you. Oh, you were looking at right here.
Yeah.
So it's not heating up on the bed. That's important. One other piece of information that you should know, that bed, it's made out of PEI, and that comes standard with all the models for this guy. Right now, it's going through the process of purging any of the filament. Like, I could add a different color in there, and throwing it off in the little waste bin that I've printed. And the best part of this all is going to take 20 minutes. It's thinking about things. One of the things that it's going to do is it will print just a little strip to make sure that the flow is working. And the best part of all this stuff is that you can hardly hear it. Maybe I should come over here. And now it's checking of the bed, making sure everything's level, and it's wiping off the little tip. I'm not really sure what that's doing right now, since I've only had this for 2 months now, so. One of the things that I really do like about it is I bought this one, and it has what you call the AMS Lite, and so it's making decisions on switching the different filament colors. And so this is an example of what we got to print. There was another example, and this was kind of a fluke. I'll go back over there in a second. I was printing a whole bunch of orange, and then the print failed because it ran out of filament. And so I decided, well, let's throw white in there. And as you can see, there's a layer of the red plus the layer of white. And so this was on my other one, doesn't have the AMS. And so I was acting as if I was the AMS. So I was very proud of that. So let me get this back. I think it's doing something. It's looking like all that stuff is good. And so as we continue, and we'll check back on that guy in a little bit, in 20 minutes, I'm going to show you. So I showed you how you can print off the printer itself. I have the X1 Carbon, the one I originally bought, back home. And so I'm going to kind of show you how you can see how easy printing that is. And so they've usually got these things set up where you go to the home and they give you all these online models, and you can like click on things. I'm just trying to get to the website that they have. You've got printables where you have to download the model and then upload it to this. Or you can just go find the model on Bambu Labs website. And I'm going to pick something, maybe, I want to stay away from grenades. How about we plant planters, because I like planters. And in here it says it's going to take that guy 8 hours. Let's open that in my Bambu Studio. So it's kind and asked me that it needs my permission. Trying to stay away from it, like taking over the world. Yeah, there it is. And so things that matter, I don't think I need to put any support, so I'm not going to enable that. That's just if you've got things that are like going over here, it needs the weight of holding up that weight. I'm just going to go ahead and slice this guy, see how long it's going to take, and also I'm trying to figure out when all the boxes are checked off, I'm going to go ahead and send it to my printer back home. And then we can kind of like, well, you've already seen how it's doing its thing over there. And just for edification, if you've never done 3D printing, you can kind of see how each layer is going to be printed out, and then on that layer, how the path is supposed to be laid down. And all of this stuff right here is the computer telling it, oh, Dakota, you're here too. What? Oh, Dakota, he's our lead on our pod, and thank you very much, Dakota, for being here. And oh, wow, I'm just so happy. Thank you very much for you guys to be here and support me. And so now I need to switch my printer because that one's already working. And it's telling me the number of hours it's going to take for me to print that pot. 9.5 hours, 4 minutes, and it's going to take me 245 grams. So I know what's going to happen, and it makes it easy for you to make the decision. Should I print that thing out, or no, I don't want to waste my filament on something like that. So let's just go ahead and waste our filament. If I haven't told you this, I'm really pleased at how loud that is, or soft the other one is. The crazy thing is now you can see the inside of my printer up there at home. And as you go through, I don't really want to bore you with all the beep, doop, doop, and because you can get that when you buy one. So one other thing that I wanted to share, there has to be like here, device, and I've been using my app on my phone, so like it has the ability for me to show you what I printed last week, last month. Let's see here, is it here? Oh, yes. I can do time-lapse videos. I can just download this thing and, let's just watch the, yeah, this one's good. Let's look at that one. That's the handle on that guy over there. So let's open that guy up and we'll watch that little guy. And it doesn't bore you with all the details, but it printed it out successfully, and then all I had to do was install it on that, and it's really nice to carry. So, sorry, I'm digressing. I need to get back to the talk, and you can see how easy it is to print. Like, I don't have another camera and I haven't figured that all out where I can show you how to print off of this phone. But you can talk to me after this and we can maybe geek out on it. So I wanted to give you guys a comparison on how all this stuff works. Like cost, that's usually important. This guy over here is the Mini, A1 Mini. At work, it dropped from $300 down to $250. So I told some people I was able to get 3 people to buy it. We started a Slack channel, and then now it's all about the wins that we talk about, and oh man, it's fun. They also bought that right there, the AMS Lite. So they're showing us how they're changing out different colors. The one downside to all of this stuff is they get a lot more of they call it poop. So whenever you switch the colors, you have to like squirt out a little bit and just throw it in a little bucket. And so one guy, he made a cannon. So he's just shooting that stuff all over the office. So the one drawback for that guy is its build volume is 7 inches by 7 inches by 7 inches. So if you want to build something that's a little bigger, I would recommend buying the A1. It has the same dimensions as the one that I own, which is the X1 Carbon. That's $400, but if you want to buy that A1, that AMS Lite, you're going to spend $560. The one drawback to these first 2 entry-level models is it doesn't have the AI stuff that's built in to the one that you get. I thought it came standard because I was like, oh yeah, the big problem that everybody is worried about. Well, you still have that problem with the lower end models, but when you get into the bigger ones, the more expensive ones, you have the ability to just like, it starts messing up on the print bed, then it sends you a message in the app, and you're like, oh yeah, let me come look at that. And then when you see that there's a problem, you can stop the print so you don't have to continue to waste filament. I really enjoy that. I didn't realize how important that when I bought the $1,200 model, it was like, I got really spoiled. So other things that the X1 Carbon has is a LiDAR detector. So after you print your first layer, it comes back over and it makes sure that everything, the width looks like it's being printed right. If it's shifted in any way, like you didn't clean your print bed, what it will do is it will stop and say, hey guys, what do you want me to do? So there's a lot of advantages to buying the more expensive model. I believe the P1S, the reason why you like that is because it gives you the enclosure, and that $100,000 print farm that the guy, that if we can get to, you guys can see, he talks about why he's buying more of these instead of the workhorse of the Prusas. So here is the thing that I want.
ran out of filament 3 days ago on this print, and I just couldn't give it up. It's too big, it's too awesome, and so I waited until new filament arrived. Let's see if it picks up where it left off, and if it succeeds. It was 86% of the way done, and this model, the bed had to stay at constant 65 degrees Celsius so that the prints don't fall off.
Are we good? Are we in business?
I'm going to ask him. This is Everyone's dual color blue to green. I mean, come on. A slight layer line there, but not that noticeable. I mean, not bad at all.
Oh my gosh. What? What is this? I don't know. You be the judge. But they finished, and that's what matters.
Every time that happens, it just puts a smile on my face.
I ran out of
Oh,
filament 3
sorry about
days
that.
ago on this print.
So that failed product that I wanted to talk about, fidget spinners. Everybody knows them. If you have kids, you definitely know about them. My wife, being a teacher, we had a conversation about why it was a failed product, is that when you were starting to get that traction and everybody wanting one and all that stuff, summer happened. And so the whole summer break killed the product in her mind. And the thing that I was thinking is if that person that was launching it had a print farm of these guys, they wouldn't have had to wait till China could work again to make all that stuff work. And as you can see, you go on to printables.com and type in fidget spinner. There's a lot of people making this product. It is crazy how much free content that you can get out there. Oh yes, this is the thing that I wanted to share with you guys. And what I'm looking at the time, I see that we have 15 minutes. This is an 11-minute video. I'm just gonna do 5 minutes, and if we wanna continue, you guys can let me know.
I started and ran a print farm business out of my house that grew to about 25 3D printers. 16 months later, we're now in a commercial space with almost 70. I'm going to give you a sneak peek behind the scenes and show you my operation. I'll share some things I put in place that really helped me scale to where I'm at. Let's go. When I was running my print farm business out of our house, it seemed like we had printers shoved everywhere. I had 2 full racks in the unfinished part of our basement and several others kind of scattered around the house. It's safe to say we were bursting at the seams, and I knew I needed to move it out of my house if I ever wanted to expand it. We found this commercial property available pretty close to our house and started transitioning over here in January of 2023. The starting point wasn't too bad, but it definitely needed a little work. Funny enough, the last tenants were actually a small startup 3D printing company using industrial metal 3D printers. Because of that, the space had tons of power available and even rooms already set up for printers. All right, so a little bit about my 3D printing business. We design and manufacture aftermarket dust collection attachments, most commonly for miter saws. We do this across a bunch of different models and brands, serving mostly DIYers and some contractors. So this whole facility that I'm going to show you today is really to support the entire life cycle of these products, all the way from conception through manufacturing. So what we have now is 2,500 square feet of manufacturing space and about 500 square feet of offices, which is broken up into 5 key areas: storage, prototyping, part prep, fulfillment, and production, aka the print farm. The first area we're going to talk about is storage. Now, it doesn't matter what type of manufacturing you do, you are going to have to store some level of materials and supplies. And as a 3D print farm, we're no different. This is the main bulk storage area we have. And one of the beauties of 3D printing is that you typically don't have to carry as high of an inventory of the parts you're producing. So in our case, most of what we're carrying are the aftermarket parts that go along with the printed parts that we offer in our products. Now in this space, we've got everything from shipping supplies to hardware to branding inserts that we put inside the packages. These are all things that are consumed on a regular basis, and we have to make sure we have enough inventory for it. I always tell people one of the hardest parts of running a 3D printing business isn't actually the 3D printing. That's the easy part. The hard part is keeping up with everything else, which is why I'm really excited to finally put in place a Kanban system for our inventory. Now, if you've never heard of this, pretty much every large-scale manufacturer uses something like this, and this is called a Kanban card. And what this does is let you know when you're at a minimum quantity and when to reorder. So in the case of these cards, there's a QR code. I'll scan the QR code, and it will actually create an order within the system that I'm using. Now, you can do this yourself, or you can use a system like these ARTA cards. I'll leave links down below if you want to go check it out. But now all of our critical inventory that would keep an order from going out is controlled using this Kanban system, which essentially turns what used to be a manual process into an automated process, which is something that's really important if you ever want to scale. So hopefully this keeps us from ever prematurely running out of materials we need to fulfill orders. Now the other main storage area is right next door in this room. And this room actually serves 3 purposes. We've got storage, there's also a small expansion of the print farm, as well as the 3D printer maintenance and repair station. The supplies stored in this location are mostly 1 kilogram spools, which are actually only used for these printers. All of the other machines in the main print farm area are using 3 kilogram spools, but we're also storing all of these spare parts we use to maintain and repair our 3D printer fleet. So currently we've got a mix of Prusa and Bambu Labs, so we've got spare parts for both. And we've consolidated everything to this tool chest to kind of make it a one-stop shop. Eventually we're going to implement the same Kanban system here as well, so we know when we're running low on something and when we need to reorder. There's still a massive opportunity to organize this stuff, but as you can see, we're already starting with a little bit of gridfinity. Now these 6 printers here are kind of the black sheep of my print farm. The 3 P1Ss all have 0.4 millimeter nozzles. I typically run 0.6 millimeter nozzles, and that's because we have certain products that actually require the smaller nozzle. And then the 3 Mark IVs are the only other kind. Every other Prusa I have is a Mark IIIs Plus. So for that reason, this part of the print farm is really dedicated to just specialty products and things that we don't print at such a high volume. It also serves as kind of a pilot plant to do short production runs for a new product to make sure all the print files are working correctly. All right, the next area is prototyping. This open space over here is where a bulk of the product development work actually happens. Because we design products for large power tools, we need a lot of room to spread out. And one of the most useful things we've done is created 3 stations with these mobile workbenches. This allows me to prototype up to 3 different products in parallel, or use one of the workbenches to do something else around the shop. So on this back wall, we've got easy access to hand tools to aid in the prototyping and kind of reverse engineering process. And we've got a host of other supporting equipment as well.
So I see the time constraints that we have. If you guys want to continue to watch this video, if you would just get your phone out and we can, that QR code will take you there. If you can't do that, I mean, you can go to this guy's YouTube channel, and as you can see, maybe I shouldn't have done that. There it is. I know. Was it 20 minutes? Was somebody timing that? Huh. Nice. All that music. I just wanted to leave you guys with a thought. In software, it's something that we at Flywheel do a lot of. We keep talking about prototyping, speed, and minimum viable product. In hardware, I see this Bambu Lab really changing the game. And I also encourage you to do your own research, because I'm sure if you have one, you might want to buy the whole suite, but I don't have enough money to give you so that you can do that. So you will have another problem, which is you will run out of filament. And so take this lightly, this torch that I hand to you. And if you have any questions, we can field those. And if you want to connect with me, I've got a QR code right there.
We have about 9 minutes for Q&A if anybody has a question.
How much is the film?
So he asked, how much is the filament? Typical filament, it runs you $20 a kilogram. You can get into more expensive stuff, so you can spend as much as you want. But since I'm trying to solve for this problem, I found that you can go on eBay and buy from Sun Lu like bulk purchases, and it floats between, so you're buying 10 kilograms at a time, it's floating between $12 a kilogram to up to $14, $15.
We check on the planter?
So the planter, yeah, I can definitely, let's go look at that. So let's see here, let's go back to this guy. Oh, status, yeah. So it's now putting down that first layer line. And I'm not sure if it's already past the LiDAR part, but it'll go and do beep. It makes me feel like I'm in Star Trek. Jonathan, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering if you had any particular examples or stories about where 3D printing has helped you, like maybe do something around the house or just expanding your capabilities.
Yes, everyone needs a Thor hammer, and so I've printed out a couple of those. As we've changed at the company, White Spider into Flywheel, our CEO decided he wanted to retire. So every good send-off needs a Thor hammer, and so as a company, the White Spider group, we had a Thor hammer that we gave him. And the history, let me just share with you, when they started the company, they have a weekly stand-up call where we talk about what either people have done for the company, how you've impacted either a customer's life or something, and they have a hammer that they give you just to hold on to, and it's a golden hammer. So I wanted to make sure he knew that we cared about him. Yes. Oh, Shawn.
What
So if you want to get into metal printing, I'm thinking you want to do carbon filament. This printer right here would probably be where you need to go. You're going to need to spend over $1,200. I haven't done that part. Like the next step that I've done, I was just printing for a full year PLA because I was finding it cheap, and I was just trying to keep it going. Every day we would ask, hey, what do you want to print tomorrow? You know, and sometimes the kids would mention something, and since I love Pokemon Go, I was just printing Pokemon, you know. So that's something that I need more information on. Sorry. There's a question over here.
Probably it might be hard. It might be hard on just like you're an individual printer, but if you were running a company that does this, recording information on failed prints, what your parameters were, what kind of support you were using, and those kind of things to maybe develop statistical models on to predict, oh, I probably need to do this. Here's my design that I'm feeding in from CAD or something, and then say, hey, what kind of parameters are going to optimize this print so it's less likely to fail?
Since I mentioned where I was going is I just wanted to constantly print, I did small tweaks. One of the things that we have here, and you mentioned different settings that you have the ability to change the it's called infill, like how you want that the inside to work out. This thing right here, Lightnings, is an awesome setting, but your prints are so light. So, you know, if you were doing it for a business, I think people would think that they're getting shorted. But it could cut down the amount of filament that you're putting in there. The next option was this support cubic. And so what that's doing is when there's a lot of volume, that it expands to fill that space. And you know, it's always fun to just throw a honeycomb in there every once in a while. And, you know, it's just like, what do I want to do next? You're constantly making tweaks. And YouTube is my friend, because if there's something that I'm stuck on, and I can tell you I've had my share of failed prints over here. Like the problem I ran into was like it just got clogged, the nozzle. And so when I'm reading that guy over there, it's so simple. You can just like take one thing and take it out. This guy here, you have to take a magnetic piece off, and then you got to unscrew 4 bolts. But there are 2 things that you have to change on this guy: the nozzle, and then also the thing that's pushing things down into the filament, or into the hot end, sorry. And those are the 2 things that you check. And if it's not printing, well, then you go to the interwebs and you just keep on asking other people to help you. Is there any other question? Yeah. Hema wants me to talk about, there was a question of like, what type of things have I printed that was helpful for the house? Well, you know the trash can, that wheel just sometimes falls off. I don't know why, it just like never can hold on to it. Well, so I used PLA. I found a free STL, so that's the print thing that you want to. It split it up into 4 different areas, so I could literally like put screws in it and zip ties, and I built that wheel. But you know what? I think there was something with the plastic. I needed to go with the PTEG. I haven't used a lot of that yet, and I had to print it twice. And then when it broke again, I'm like to my wife, "Honey, can you like get a new trash can?" I felt like a failure, but we got a nice trash can out of the deal. I see we have 4 minutes. Yes, sir.
Thor hammer, I'm assuming by real size. What would you estimate the cost and filament on that?
So cost on the filament, if I was, see, I could go back and look at where it was. Let's see here. Because in each one of these things, whatever you printed, it all comes down to, I'm just going to give you a quick estimate. If you just leave it on all default settings, I would guess it's like 20 bucks. So it's like 1 kilogram. You know, if you really want to get down, it could be 12 bucks, you know. But what you had to do to get that Thor hammer is you print it into sections and then you had to glue it. And so then you had something that was, you know, a good size one. The one that I printed out, one of our friends at work, he's going to make it really good. Like he's spray painting it. He used to be a tattoo artist, but he's in like front end development. And he's like actually geeking out, putting, you know, leather on it and a whole bunch of other things. I probably will not be able to touch it because it's just going to be awesome, you know. But as far as ants, it probably tells more of that on my app of how much like a print was.
So I imagine that'd be worth it if you're customizing and put some sort of custom
Yeah.
symbols on or text. That'd be worth it.
Yeah.
If you just want a Thor hammer, probably not. Probably not.
No, you know, well, I mean, you probably can't print one on that. You would need to go with the A1 so you get that build volume. The one thing that is kind of crazy and what I've seen with the app that I'm using, people have to push up like the cloud printing. You have to make it specifically for your model, and then you can share it. And then when you share it, Bambu Labs is actually giving people kickbacks. And so there's a video, I don't know where it's at, but I watched it. This guy's like, yeah, you can get a free 3D printer. I mean, you got to work your butt off, but you can make it. You know, it might be easier just to buy it, you know. We have 2 minutes, so one more question. Yes, sir.
So you talked before about how certain models require support just based on the structure and the shape of the model and whatnot. Is that something you have to factor in whenever you're building the initial STL file, or are there certain 3D printers that can handle the support like automatically here on their own?
So to answer your question, like how did the support get put in? It's making calculations on this. This is the slicer. It's trying to determine if you need it. And to let you know, there is, let's see here, I think it's this guy, Prepare. And you got all these little models up here. The thing that's crazy, if you have a whole bunch of little items, you could hit this guy, and then it will auto-arrange it for you. So then you don't even have to think, oh, I really need to cram all these things on there. It will just organize it for you. If you change the setting, it will like start rotating things for you and that kind of stuff. But whenever the support structure pops up, my best advice is to pick tree, because you have less of that support structure underneath it that you have to rip apart. I printed out a Greninja last year, and I did it with the normal. It destroyed the whole thing, because you know Greninja has the arms going out. Well, it was in a block of filament, so you have to figure out how to rip it out. I started playing with the heat gun, and then, oh man, I had so much problems. You know, I don't even want to talk about it, but it looks like it's 1:45, so I will yield my time.